Welcome to Ashmansworthy Pools in Devon, where for the next 36 hours I'm going to be based on Jack's Pool. Now, I've never fished this lake in particular before, but I have fished one of the middle lakes because I've been fortunate enough to get down here, get the rods out when filming different bits and pieces for Palatrax, because the owner of Palatrax is also the owner of this complex. So I've been very fortunate enough to catch some of the beautiful fish that reside in those lakes. I've never fished this one, and I've seen some of the photos, so I'm really hopeful I can get my hands on some of the lovely fish that are in here. So over the next 36 hours, we'll run through all the things you need to know about the venue, how to book on, which is now through the catch app, and also hopefully catch some of the lovely fish in here. Well, it's very much been a case of dodging the showers all morning. I've actually been here a few hours, but finally the rods are out. I'm relatively dry and I'm confident, and the tactics I'm using is something that I've used on this venue, or at least the other lake, several times here before, and that's the washing line method. And I've used that on the right and middle rod. The left one I've just flung out to where I saw a showing fish, so that one's going to rove a bit more if I see fish moving around, but the other two is using the washing line method. And as I said, it's something that I've utilised on this complex before to great effect. Absolutely love using it if I can on a smaller venue, because I think it can give you quite an edge, especially on smaller venues where line presence and fish may be aware of you being there. It just mitigates that issue by getting the line, as much of it's possible anyway, out of the water, but still lets me fish the areas I want to. So the middle one is the furthest one out, and that's all the way over onto the other bank. So the first thing I did was whiz the stone weight over there. That's one of the things I'll get onto on this video as well, is the actual setup I'm using, because you do use stones weights and the grips hooks, but I'll get onto that later in the video. So I whizzed the weight over there, and that landed on the bank, went round, put my rig on and lowered it into the margin, and then set up the washing line method. If you want to see how to use that, a little shameless plug here of my own video, I have shown how to set up the washing line method, especially exactly how I am on this trip before, and the fish that I catch in that video was from this venue. So a link to that will be in the description below on how to set it up if you want to see that. But it just means that the line is nice and slack in the far margin down to where I want to be fishing, put some bait over the top of it, and then it's bow tight across to my rod basically. So now all I'm waiting for is a savage drop back, because as soon as a fish pulls away with the rig the other end, it pulls out of that clip, goes slack this end, and I get a drop back, and that shows that I'm into a fish. The right hand rod I've done exactly the same with, that's in the right hand margin, same principle, same setup, lowered the rig in, brought the rod back, bowstring tight across, there's no line in the water, all the way around until you reach my left hand rod, which I've just cast to showing fish earlier on. So that's the only one that's actually cutting through the water. It actually makes it really easy to play fish as well, because there's no line to get tangled up in. And if I wanted to rebait or re-rig, I don't have to recast again. I just walk around to where the rig is, hand line it back in, change the hook bait or freshen things up, put it back in, and I'm good to go. So that's how I'm attacking this venue. I think the rain's going to come in again any second. This forecast isn't the best today. So kettle on and a nice hot brew. I'm very aware that light levels are starting to drop and it's going to be dark, probably less than an hour. So just redoing all three rods. I've just done the right hand too, and as I said, it's so easy to change the hook baits on that, because I just walk around to where the rig is in position and just pull it in by hand, change the hook bait. So I had the hook baits ready to change, and I'm just using bait screws on these rigs. As quick as that, bait is off, and I just screw the next one on and lower it back into position without having to change any of the rest of the setup. So it's really nice and easy to change. Topped up the swims or the spots with a bit more bait, and so I'm just doing the same with this last one. This is the one that I've been casting around a little bit today, just trying to cast it showing fish, but the fish haven't really showed themselves too much other than one or two fairly early on in the day. So there's a fresh hook bait on. Using these glugs are really sticky. I just want to put a little mesh bag on there as well, so there's just a little bit of attraction around this. And again, this one's just going to go over to where I did see a fish earlier on, because there was one there earlier. Hopefully there's still something hanging around over there. Haven't had much else to go on. Don't want all that glug on my reel. So I'm just going to ping this one across where they were showing earlier. And talking to Simon, there is actually a plateau out there, so slightly shallower water. So I'm going to ping that across, and this will be it for the night unless they go off. That's pretty much bang on where we saw one show earlier. Fairly deep, and we're sorted. If it's anything like last week, myself and Luke last week were out filming the verses, and all of the action came in the night. So I'd take that if it means it saves a blank. But of course, I'd love to have it in daylight. Tomorrow's going to be much sunnier, much nicer conditions to actually be in. And hopefully we'll see a bit more activity. I'll be able to act on that tomorrow. I've gotten to about this time tomorrow evening. So plenty of time to catch a fish. Certainly not time to worry just yet, he says. Well, there we go. We haven't weighed this one. We've got some scales on the way, but I'd hazard a guess around the 23 mark. We'll check once we've weighed it and I'll tell you afterwards. But it's always nice to go into the first night, well, the only night I'm doing here, with a fish already under my belt. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come going into the night. Got to get that rod back out there. But if not, I'm very happy with that. Christening the new rods and reels is actually the first I've been out since getting some kit back. As you know from a previous video, I had a lot of it stolen, so it's lovely to catch some fish on my own kit once again. Beautiful. And we get a few stills and slip this one back. Well, there we go. Completely underestimated actually. If I looked at the belly a bit more closer, I think I would have guessed higher. And at 26.13, that's a lovely start to the session. Awesome. Yes, it is. Sweet. Good morning everyone, and what a beautiful morning it has been. I've been really treated to limited sun, shall we say, because it seems to have disappeared again already, but it did light up the valley for me and gave me some lovely shots. It was beautiful to watch as the sun came up. Hopefully it comes out again today because it's meant to, but if not, at least I've been treated this morning. Last night was very quiet on the fish front, but pretty rough on the wind and rain front. As you can see, it's still pretty windy. I think we had gusts of low to mid 30-mile-an-hour winds, and because it's so exposed up here, I feel like my bivvy was the first thing to get battered by that wind. So rather restless night on the weather front, but unfortunately the fish didn't play ball. So hopefully today, with the sun coming out and me being able to watch the water a bit more and have most of today in front of me, hopefully we'll be able to get some more fish on the bank for you in daylight hours. But as you know, this session is brought to you by Catch, so it wouldn't be a Catch video without quickly running through the app. Now here we have the app, so if you go onto that, whether it's on your phone or on your computer at home, just type in Ashmansworthy and it will pop up. There you are, Catch More Fish, Palatrax. Open that up and it gives you all the information you need to know about the venue. The first thing you see there is facilities, view all facilities. There's a lot here. So you've got male, female showers, 3G, 4G connectivity. So I was able to stream a football game last night. I was watching the England game. Probably wish I hadn't because it was really dull. There's bait available. Now that's something, when you're down here, you have to use Palatrax H&V baits. So that's something to bear in mind, but that is available on site. You can hire equipment if you like. There's an angler's day cabin. Now that's what's on this lake, the Jack's Pool. So you can sit up there looking out over the valley without having to be in your bivvy the whole time. There's also a fridge up there, electric hookup. There's electric in every single lake in the little huts. And within those huts is also provided all the nets, slings and hooking mats. So all the carp protection kit and things is provided for you. You don't have to bring that with you. And the electrics is ideal just to plug in all your electronic goods when you come fishing and makes your stay a lot more comfortable. And as I said, the showers are here and the toilet, that's a communal toilet for the whole complex. But if you're on Jack's Pool, of course, it's nice and simple and nice and close. You just to jump in there and have a shower in the morning, freshen yourself up from your stay. There's parking, easy accessibility. You saw I parked the van just at the top of the hill here before coming down to the lake. And each of the lakes are really easy to get to. So accessibility is really good. Pet friendly, there's a tackle shop again. So when you come here, you'll see in the rules that you have to use the Palatrax grips hooks and also the Palatrax H&V bait. So if you don't have any of that normally, don't worry, you can get that all while you're here. There's also food delivery. Now this morning I'm going to be getting a nice bacon and egg baguette, which I've had every time I've come down here. That's something I look forward to in the mornings. So there is food delivery available. So that's something you can bear in mind. And as you see there, electric hookup. If we roll down quickly to the lakes, you'll see Jack's Pool, which is one I'm on at the moment, Ben's Pool, and Charlie's Pool, all named after Simon's sons. So Jack's Pool's the one I'm on, of course. You've got mirror carp from 15 to 28 pounds. So that one I had yesterday was actually one of the bigger mirrors. And then common carp, 15 to 32. That common hasn't been out for a while, that big one. So fingers crossed something happens today, but if not, I'm happy with that one I had last night. If we go across to the next lake, you've got Ben's Pool. You've got a stock of 14 to 30 pound mirrors and 50 to 25 pound common. That's the one I fished on a lot more times than I have anywhere else when I've come down here. Some beautiful fish in there as well. And last but no means least, Charlie's Pool at the very top of the complex. This is more of your runs water, and it's fully mirror carp related, and it's 12 to 21 pounds. But the fish in there are stunning, really plated, heavily scaled Lana Springs Carp, as are all of them down here. So that's just a really brief overview. If you want more information, please do check it out on the Catch app, and you'll see the prices there. Is the one other thing to note is that a 23-hour lake exclusive for on Jack's Pool, which is this one for example, is £100. You can have up to 3 anglers on here, so you've got these 2 swims and you can fish on the other bank as well. If there's 3 of you on here, you go down to 2 rods. If there's only 2 of you on here, then 3 rods is fine. But as you see, £100 for a lake exclusive for a few mates really isn't too expensive. But if you're a Team Palatrax member, which is really easy to set up and sign up to, you have a discount down to £78. That reflects across all the different lakes. So if you want more information, do contact them on here or check out the whole website or on the Catch app to book yourself on. And don't forget, when you do a booking through the Catch app, whether it be here or anywhere else, you also get a discount code for Angling Direct. They never go off when I do these pieces in the morning, do they? It'd be really nice if they did. Finish this coffee and I think I'm going to refresh all the rigs and just watch the water for the rest of the day and hopefully get something before I go this afternoon. That's the 2 washing line rigs reset, and now it's time to do the final one. This is the one I'm actually casting about, trying to cast a showing fish. It's not really been much to go on, so I'm just moving it around every now and then and hoping that I pick up something. But the setup on each rod is exactly the same. Starting off with rig-wise, probably got a 9 to 10 inch long Fluoro D hook link, and that's down to a size 4 grips choddy. I've got a bait screw on there, which is then ending up with one of the boosted hook baits. Tiger nut is what I actually caught on yesterday, so I've gone all 3 are now on the tiger nut, and then topped off with a little squab pop-up, so just gives it a bit more of a buoyancy. That should sit hook flat on the bottom, and then the hook bait will waft around a bit like a little snowman presentation. A couple blobs of putty along the rig just to keep it all pinned down, so make it nice and discreet. Then that goes up to the actual hooking end of things, so how we hold it all in place. And as I said, the rules on here are to use the stones and the grips. So here is one of the stones weights, and that just holds bottom where I'm casting out. And I have that attached to a lead clip setup, but I don't put the bung in on the lead clip. So on the initial bolt effect, as you see, fish will pick up, it will pull out that swivel, so that initial shock will hook the fish, but then there's no anchor point for them to move away from or to potentially discharge the hook. It just becomes completely running. So really, really safe for the fish. If I was to have any kind of breakages, I know that all they're going to be carrying around is that little bit of swivel and maybe a bit of line if it breaks off further up the line, but all of this will come clear. But for all intents and purposes, it does what it needs to. It hooks the fish and also keeps them protected. When you're bringing the fish in, you've then got about 12 inches or so of rig tubing that just protects the side of the fish when you're playing them, because they are very scaly fish, and that's part of the rules on here, to have that protection on there to keep them nice and safe. So the tactics is actually really simple, pretty much how I fish everywhere. It's just the weight is slightly different to how I'd normally fish as well. But as you saw, hooked fish yesterday. I've had no issues every time I've come here using these, so they clearly do the job as well as a normal lead weight would. So let's get this one replenished with a new hook bait, little mesh bag on there, and ping it back out, and hopefully something comes along. My session's now coming to a close, and I've done what all anglers do and eked it out as long as possible. But I'm gonna have to bring the rods in now and head on home. I thoroughly enjoyed my stay down here at Ashmansworthy Pools, on Jack's Pool in particular. I did manage that upper 20 or sort of mid upper 20 yesterday, so I'm really happy with that. And if it wasn't for that, I maybe would have eked out another hour or so now, but I'm gonna get back, get myself warmed up by the fire, and hopefully next time I'm down here, I'll be able to winkle out a few more as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to us if you haven't done so already. And don't forget to download and start using the Catch app as well, where you can book onto here and many, many more venues. See you again soon.